Hey guys, this is John's Bricks here, and today I'm going to be doing another LEGO comparison. So this is on the most recent LEGO Anakin's Jedi Fighters. So on the left here, we have the Anakin's Jedi Interceptor. This set is coming out in 2020 in the summer wave, which is not yet released in the United States everywhere. It's at 75281 with 248 pieces and retails for $30. The set on the right here, Anakin's Jedi Starfighter, came out in 2018. It's set number 75214. Came with 247 pieces for only $20. Both sets come with 2 minifigures. And let's compare these two sets. So what we'll be looking at today, like I said, we're comparing Anakin's Jedi Starfighter versus the Jedi Interceptor. We're looking at the minifigures, the value, the design and displayability, the playability, and my opinion. And then we'll total up the overall score and see which set is better. So starting off with figures, both sets come with 2 minifigures, both being R2-D2 and Anakin Skywalker. On the right here is the figures for Anakin's Jedi Starfighter. And on the left here is the figures for Anakin's Jedi Interceptor. So like I said, both sets come with an Anakin and an R2-D2. So first off here, we have the R2-D2, identical for both sets. This one has a little bit of incorrect printing here. It's a little lopsided there. Kind of a misprint, but it's a pretty common misprint, so that's kind of cool. On the right here, we have the Anakin in the the Starfighter, and the Anakin in the Interceptor. The Anakin in the Starfighter, definitely a little bit more accurate if it's based more kind of on the Clone Wars with his general outfit here. And he has the microphone kind of piece there printed on. And he has the angry face here with the kind of red in his eyes, similar to how he looks on Mustafar. And then on the left here, we have the Anakin from the Interceptor. This one doesn't have that torso. It actually has the Mustafar torso with the burns and like scratches in his robes there on the torso. He has a smiling face here, very similar, and then the angry face on the back. So this is pretty much the exact same figure as the one in the Interceptor, except the torso is definitely less accurate to the scene. It's kind of hard to determine which figures are better because they are both an Anakin and R2-D2, but because the R2-D2s are identical here, we'll remove those from the equation, and we're left with the 2 Anakin Skywalkers. So the one on the left here from the Interceptor, again, has that Mustafar torso, and then the one on the right here has the like general Jedi torso. So this kind of does come down to opinion for some people, but for me, the Mustafar burns are very inaccurate for just Anakin being a pilot there, because he doesn't get those until the end of episode 3, so it makes no sense because he's not piloting his Interceptor at that point. So because of this, I will say that the one on the right, the Jedi Starfighter, wins because of kind of the more accuracy of the Anakin. Our next category here is value. Both sets come with 2 figures, so that doesn't really differentiate between the two. And the Interceptor here on the left comes with 1 more piece, having 248 pieces, and the Starfighter on the right comes with 247 pieces. But the Starfighter on the right is $20, while the Interceptor is $30 on the left here. Mind you, there are some larger pieces, like the front here, and the cockpit piece, and these kind of wing pieces. But still, that $10 difference for only 1 more piece is kind of outrageous, considering they have the same amount of minifigures and pretty much the same amount of pieces, and the $10 difference just really kills that Interceptor there. Mind you, I do believe that $30 is a good value for that, and I think that the Starfighter is definitely worth $30 if it were to be $30. So I'd say $30 is a fair price, but because the Starfighter is only $20 there, it's going to have to beat out that Interceptor, being that it's $30. So the Jedi Starfighter will get 1 more check mark, putting it at a 2-0 lead. The category is design/displayability. So taking a look at the Interceptor here, This definitely has a very good look to it. They've got the little wings on the side here, which can open up and down. There is no landing gear, but it kind of just sits there fine, and they have these inverted 2x2s there, so you can kind of just keep it there. On the side here, there's a spot for R2-D2. That's also a play feature as well, but it's nice in design, so you can just slip them in there, and even without them, there's not like really a big gap there, so it's not super noticeable even when you don't have that figure inside of there. And you could just mod it like this if you don't want R2-D2 in there, and just put like some bricks inside of there and then cover it up with a 2x4. This just looks overall really nice with some stickered pieces on the back here, and this printed cockpit which can open up, and then there's printed kind of like windshield on the front here, which unfortunately can turn, connected to this like little pin in there, which I think is kind of a bad like design there. It really shouldn't be able to spin while you're like moving it around. But inside here there's this stickered 1x2 G-slope, and you can just fit your Anakin Skywalker inside of there pretty easily, just on these two studs like so. And this doesn't close while he's sitting upwards, which is kind of unfortunate, so you kind of gotta angle him back onto the seat a little bit more. And even when you go down a little bit, it doesn't really work. You really gotta go down all the way for him to fit in there, which is kind of a design flaw, because then he can't exactly reach like the control panel very well. It's not exactly the best like thought out process there, because you have to tip him all the way back against the seat to be able to fit inside of there. And then one of the other design flaws that I have with the set is on the back here, towards the bottom. You can see that there's these stud shooters, or excuse me, spring-loaded shooters, which stick out of the back, which is very unfortunate because they're very visible there. But when you're looking at it from like the side here or the front, you don't really notice that. It's just when you have it from the back, they really stick out right into this engine thrust coming out of here. So the Anakin's Jedi Starfighter here is next. So just taking a look at the front here, you can see there's this really nice sticker design that kind of flows through the front, and then this kind of comes off, which I think looks really good. A couple of stud shooters here for some playability, and those would be pretty easy to mod out, but that's kind of not really like a design plus or a design flaw. It's more towards playability. Unfortunately, this gap here for R2-D2, your figure can fit in there just fine if you just put him like that sideways, and then you're gonna have to twist his head forwards if you want him looking forwards, similar to the Interceptor. But when looking straight on, you can really see that problem here. There's a huge gap, so if you don't have a droid in there, that looks kind of off. On the left side here, there's this nice stickered Republic insignia, some grill pieces, and some plates and tiles. I'm not a big fan of this color, this like kind of weird neon green. I like the blue more on the Interceptor better. And then on the middle here by the cockpit, if you open up the cockpit, there's this printed kind of 2x2 slope piece there for a control panel, and you can just put your Anakin in here like that. You can press him down on the studs or not, but this closes a lot better on him, so he can be actually sitting up like that. Then they use this nice sticker pieces on the side, and then they have a really cool like build here, this technique holding these plates together kind of as like this back little fin with these stickers on. Looks really good. Definitely an upgrade to the older one. When I took a look at the Plo Koon Starfighter, it was kind of like a flag connected to a pole piece, so they really did a good job upgrading that for these Starfighters. Another little nice design about it is that it has a landing gear, so that's more displayability as well, but the Interceptor can just sit regularly fine. This one, unfortunately, if you don't have that landing gear, doesn't really balance that well. It looks very awkward landing like that. So that's kind of one thing that sucks about it, is that you really need this landing gear to make it land, but I guess that's a pretty good design there. It's pretty sturdy. And then inside, on the bottom here, there's a little clip where you can clip in your lightsaber hilt for your Jedi there. That is kind of a play feature as well, but it's nice design, so you can hide that lightsaber while your figure is piloting the ship. So when it comes down to ranking these two, I feel like from the front here, these guns are a little bit better than those stud shooters. I like the wings, kind of these flaps that can open up on the side for the Interceptor, and the fact that this has this like nice printed canopy here, as well as those sticker pieces, and the fact that it can sit down nice and level without needing a landing gear just gives that Interceptor a little bit of an advantage. So the Anakin's Jedi Interceptor gets its first check mark there in design and displayability. So kind of an easier category to determine here is playability. So we won't take a look at them individually because we already looked at that kind of with design and displayability, but we'll kind of look at some pros of each one. So the Jedi Starfighter there has stud shooters, while the Interceptor has spring-loaded shooters there. The Jedi Starfighter has this landing gear, which I guess is playability because it can move, but the Interceptor can just sit there, which I guess that's kind of not really playability. So Anakin's Starfighter gets a little bit of a head there, even though design-wise I think being able to sit level without that landing gear is a lot cooler. There's a nice little clip here for the lightsaber hilt, which is very unfortunate that the Interceptor here doesn't have that, but it's not a super big deal. Both of them have spots for their droids, and both of the cockpits open up. Mind you, this one's a lot cooler opening up, and it's a lot easier to open up than this one, and both have some sort of like printed control panel inside of that cockpit for your character to control it with. But this Interceptor here has these nice little flap wings on the side here that you can just open up when you're piloting. So while he's in the air, you can kind of have them more angled open, which I think looks really good. And then when he lands, they just kind of push in. You can push him in from the top, and it looks really good. So both really have good playability features there, but I'll give them both one check mark. I'd say they tied. There's some pluses about both of them, so it's very hard to determine one over the other. It's kind of your opinion whether you would enjoy one over the other. So our next category here is my personal opinion. So I would say that I do really like both of these sets, like both of the set of minifigures. Obviously they're the same figures, but I think definitely the Anakin for the Starfighter is a little bit better. I think it's a cooler figure and definitely more accurate to that scene. I like how there's a clip for the Starfighter underneath, but overall I kind of like the compact look of the Interceptor. I just prefer the Interceptor as a ship overall. I prefer these wings on the side here, the printed cockpit piece with the printed like windshield up front here, and the cannons here. And the fact that the spring-loaded shooters from the front and the side are pretty hidden, so they're a pretty hidden play feature that you can kind of just launch out like that. I think that's kind of like a huge thing for me. And the little guns on the side and such, and the fact that your figure, like there's not as big of a gap there. So if you were to kind of display it from the side there, if you don't have your droid in there, you wouldn't be able to see that, but this has a really large gap there for the droid. So overall, I'd say they're pretty much a tie in that fact, but I'm going to give the Interceptor the check just because I personally like it more than the Starfighter. So as you can see, both the Interceptor and the Starfighter got 3 check marks. So this is really up to you which one you prefer. I'd say the figures are better and the value is better for the Starfighter, but I like the design more and the overall ship of the Interceptor better. So thank you guys for watching. I'd say recommend both of these for you. I definitely get the Starfighter first because it came out in 2018, and that will be pretty much retiring soon, but it's pretty cool that both of these are going to be on shelves at the same time. It's kind of different. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.